Doug Karsch, Scott Anderson, 97.1. 248-539-9797. Oh, the Piston feedback. And I don't mean the text people are sending in. I just mean what they've showed us for the last 10 days has been uneven. Not what we're accustomed to. And I think last night, I feel like this team thrives on intangibles. And they were offered up one on a plate. They're not in our class. And then they go out and they play that way and they get beat.
You used the word embarrassment. I would use the word disappointment because I was disappointed. I don't think I would say embarrassed. It's not like Cleveland wiped the floor with them, but the comments that came out beforehand that weren't attributed to any single person, which was interesting. When JB was asked about it, he's like, well, I don't really pay attention to stuff where nobody puts their name to it, something to that effect. Mm-hmm. It was an opportunity to throw it right back in their face and stomp on them, and they didn't do it.
No.
It's disappointing. This is a regular season game. If this were a playoff game, it's different.
Of course.
And obviously, I think Cleveland took this game way more seriously than the Pistons did. And JB upset with the effort defensively afterwards, and the three-point guarding was not good. And as we point out, some statistical anomalies in the game. Here's another one. Minutes played for Paul Reed, 0. So if that's going to be the direct result of having Isaiah Stewart coming back, and I love Isaiah Stewart coming back, but if you're not going to play Paul Reed, look, they got plenty of mixing and matching to do over the last 20 games in the season here, but that was also a disappointment for me. Paul Reed had played so well, while Isaiah Stewart was serving his 7-game suspension. And he doesn't need to get 25 minutes a game, but it'd be nice to get him in there at least, particularly when the team is struggling as much as they did. Well, and he's just riding a pine with Bobby Klintman and Kevin Huerter and Marcus Sasser and Chaz Lanier.
Well, I'll just say this. I'm not drawing long-term conclusions, okay? I think it's one of the dangers of doing what we do is seeing short-term results and drawing long-term conclusions. But my concern level is up quite a bit here. You know, we've been pointing to that last week for a long time. And even though they took 2 out of 3, it wasn't a comfortable 2 out of 3, given who played for teams and who didn't. And then to follow it up where they kind of get their manhood challenged a little bit, and they don't really respond. I think is a growing, and personally I feel like it's a legitimate concern. A lot of times you'll find us in the calm down camp. I'm not really in a calm place today, and I thought last night was a bit embarrassing. Let's get to your phone calls, 248-539-9797. Brian in Detroit. Hi, Brian.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, Brian.
Gator, a couple weeks, I don't know when Cade shot 25%. You told me it'll never happen again. It happened last night. The Pistons not making the championship. They not winning no championship. They need another score. And Doug, I'm like you. That was disappointing. That was a bad look.
Gator said it disappointing. I said embarrassing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. That's my fault.
Can I ask you a question? So one of the things that I think that we can have a legitimate debate about is whether or not this team has the answers. Whether on this roster and on that chalkboard, does JB have the answers? Because you have come out and based on interpretation of what you had to say, Brian, you're giving it a no. They don't have the answers in this roster and on that chalkboard.
Man, listen, for that GM to say, we go through the playoffs and see what we really got was a mistake. They don't have the answers. And, Doug, you were absolutely right. It was disappointing. A team called you out, and you played like that. And your best player had 10 points and shot 25%. You think what you going to tell me again, he'll never play like this again?
Well, I would say this.
Games like,
in my defense, I said he was never going to shoot 20% again because he was just under 20. He shot 19% against San Antonio the first game. So technically, I'm still alive with that. But I'm the one who said he was I was disappointed, Brian. Doug's embarrassed. I'm disappointed.
Yeah. Look, Gator, nice save.
Listen, the Pistons are a good team. The Pistons are not a top 5 team. The Pistons are not winning the.
Okay, so look, I think a reasonable part.
Let me explain though.
Go ahead.
Let me explain though, because you need another score. You can't listen. It's not brain surgery, man. They need another score. Don't tell me Cade not gonna play like this again.
Well, Brian, here's the question.
Bad games in the playoffs.
I think we are really centrally focused on even just getting to the NBA Finals. I think there's everybody thinks the West is better, but you don't think this team is even going to get to the finals.
Man, listen. A team said you're not on their level,
I know.
and you went out there and played like that.
It's
that
embarrassing. I'm embarrassed.
Don't tell me about we play hard with chip on our shoulder. That was the greatest chip in the world. Team.
Yeah, that was a really good look.
They did not respond.
Yeah,
they didn't respond, and that's not like them.
No, that was no good. Here's another statistical anomaly. Jalen Duren, who had 24 points, only played 27 minutes, and he had 3 fouls.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if that was addressed afterwards. Why
JB didn't say anything
wasn't
about
playing
it.
more. I mean,
he didn't get. I don't think he got asked about the rotations. But Kang, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, on the Paul Reed and the rotation set, Gator. Paul Reed is not playing unless something happens to Duren or Stewart. I mean, he's the third man, and the good thing is when he has been called on, he's been, a la Kevin Garnett in 2001. The bad thing is he's just not going to see time unless, like I said, something happens to the other 2 guys. They already run a 10-man rotation. I don't think JB's going to go any deeper than that. And so as far as Paul Reed, I don't see him on the court. And they do need help on certain nights. This is the fear last night was, and I'm not going to overreact to one game against the Cavs, but the fear long-term is in the playoffs is 3-point shooting is one of them, and secondary scoring, right? So Cade was off last night. Tobias stepped up. Jalen Duren has his usual game that he has. They still lost. You look at the 3-point shooting. Look at the percentage. Oh, Pistons didn't shoot that bad. Look at how many less threes they took compared to the Cavs. The Cavs took almost double the amount of three-pointers the Pistons did. This is the
46 to 24.
Exactly. Yeah. This is the league. You have to be able to not just shoot the three-pointers and make them, but the volume matters. And that's what teams like the Celtics, the Cavs, they fire up volume. And the Pistons just don't do that.
Yeah, and it's a good debate to have. It's a very good debate to have of whether or not you can win an NBA championship this way. Like, this is a team that emphasizes paint scoring, defense, and they don't take volume three-pointers.
That was, and to all 3 of those points, except for the volume 3-point shooting, because that lived up to its name last night, that was not a Pistons game. They didn't score much in the paint. It's 46 points, 48 points in the paint. That was it. That's not like them at all. Defensively, that's not like the Pistons to play that poorly defensively either. A lot of weird things in last night. I want to say yuck, throw it in the garbage, but I'm not going to do it because there's a little bit of a pattern where they played either poorly or they played down to the level of competition. You know, when you take on a completely depleted Cavs team last week and you need overtime to win, that's playing down to the level of competition. You know, when you struggle with Oklahoma City and they're without all the guys they have, that's playing down to the level of competition. There's a lot of things were just kind of funky last night. I'm not giving up on them. I still think it's the best team in the Eastern Conference. Brian thinks they're the 5th best team in the league. Okay, well, they only have to be the best in the East to get to the finals.
Karsch and Anderson, 97.1.